You're listening to My Grito Podcast Network, celebrating the culture of Chicanos and Latinos one story and voice at a time. Listen to more My Grito Podcast Network shows over at mygrito.net. Connect on social, on Instagram and Facebook at My Grito, the My Grito Podcast Network.
The Mindbuzz, now partnered with My Grito Industries.
3, 2, 1. What's up, Mr. Rob?
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, dude. Been anticipated for this for the past couple of weeks, so...
Yeah, it's the... I was going to say, I think your listeners might be getting tired of having Oscar and myself back on for the past 3 weeks, right? So,
we're just going to add you guys to the podcast.
we should. We should just get the unit next door and kick your crazy neighbor out.
Hey, actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Set up My Guitar HQ there, you know?
It wouldn't.
We're here that often, so...
I like how the showers are like together, so that way if like I need my back like scrubbed, I can just text Oscar, hey dude, can you help me out and get that spot for me, please? Nice. So before we get started, we had some Feed My Mezcal with Oscar, and I feel like it should be
the same this time, right? So let's have a little toast. Obviously, thank you to the guys for at Feed My Mezcal for salud.
Salud.
Remember, we gotta smell it, of course, and drink it the proper way, and give it the little besito.
Oh yeah. Smooth like always.
Yeah, exactly. So, we we welcomed Feed My Mezcal to the as sponsor of the podcast network last week's, and obviously encouraging everybody to go follow them on Instagram at Feed My Mezcal, and pay them a visit at feedmymezcal.com. While you're in the, if you're checking out the site, you want to decide you want to grab a bottle, obviously try it out. If you enter the code MyGrito at checkout, you can get a few bucks off. So make sure you take advantage of that.
Nice.
So go down to the show description as you are listening to this podcast and go ahead and check them out. feedmymezcal.com.
And get a discount. Who doesn't like a discount?
I know, right?
I know I do.
Be a smart shopper.
Be a me shopper.
Be an Amber shopper. Half of the stuff I have that I got from Amber are like 50% off.
No, it's not. Shut up. What a lying ass.
Shopper. Yeah.
No, you make me sound like I'm cheap.
I have a great bit about that. It's freaking awesome, and I love it. Crowd goes wild. But welcome back, dude.
Thank you, man.
So we're here to talk about all things Wiretap, all things Rob Castellon.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on? Where did it all start, Mister?
Mister.
It all started in sunny Orange County, where I grew up in Santana. So I guess if you want to take it all the way back, I grew up. I was born in Santa Ana, California, here in Orange County, and the youngest of 3 boys. To obviously parents of immigrant descent. So first generation here. So yeah, that's where we started.
You've had a very interesting career in music, and I feel like it's all been in music, dude. Like even since college too, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. We can take it even way back, but I mean, most of my working career has all been in music. Yeah.
So, and that's what 12? Was it 12 years at K-ROQ?
Yeah, no. Right out of college, I got a job at K-ROQ. So for those listeners that may not be familiar with K-ROQ, K-ROQ is obviously in LA here. We all know K-ROQ and we all grew up listening to K-ROQ, but you'll be surprised that a lot of people even outside of LA don't maybe know not the weight, but I mean just how big K-ROQ really is across the country and even the world, right? I worked for K-ROQ for 12 years. Starting off, as a van driver, promotions assistant, going to all the events, passing out stickers and, being the promotions van driver. And then, slowly working my way up to a sales assistant and, working in sales integrated marketing and, and then, developing roles in marketing and that kind of thing. So yeah, and of course, even after that, I've had roles at iHeartMedia. I spent about 2 years at KLOS also, within the radio space. Held roles at a streaming audio company called TuneIn. And I'm currently over at BMG Music.
Nice.
So what's BMG Music exactly?
BMG Music is a long-standing record label. So we're talking, these guys had the back catalog of like The Clash and Johnny Cash, and like, so like it's a label that has a lot of history, right? I currently work on the production music side of the roster of the company. So that means like I work a lot closer with I do marketing for their production music arm. So meaning like when you hear production music, that means like it's not just like stock music, whatever, but it's like we create custom music for like clients like Netflix or like Hulu and Paramount Plus, Apple TV. So like these clients will come to us and say, hey, we need a track for this particular series. Like, what do you got? And if we don't have it, we'll put together what's called a bespoke track, and we'll create something out of scratch for them.
How does a musician like get on Netflix? How does that happen?
Yeah, it's a lot of, just like anything else, it's a lot of luck.
Yeah.
Knowing the right people and like, obviously knowing firsthand.
Right.
Now that I'm learning the ins and outs of like how that world works, how the sync side works, it really is very similar to like, landing the attention of a record label or whatever, a studio, whatever. Like it really is kind of just being out there like anything else. It's networking and kind of knowing people. And at the end of the day, that's really kind of what it comes down to, guys. Like it's about kind of just like being in the right time at the right,
throwing yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
Is there like a specific person? Because remember when we had Howler Honey, they had done a few things and they were saying, "What the heck was that?"
I don't know.
Sorry. When we had Howler Honey on, they were talking about that they've done a few things for like networks and things like that, and they record like certain instrumental, like notes or things like that, and then they put it together with other ones. But we were talking about like, is there one person in particular that, like, how do you even, I don't even know how to ask my question, but how do you even like go about saying, oh, I know an artist for that, or oh, I know something for that? Like, is this just one person, or is it a group of people that are like musically inclined that know hundreds and thousands of like different genres, or is it not that complicated?
No, it really is kind of like what you're saying. Exactly. Like we do have a team of like producers and like, engineers that like we'll get an email, or we'll get like an ask from clients that, hey, we're doing it, we're putting together a production that's like medieval 1920s, whatever. Do you have anything, in that vein? And it really is them thinking kind of, hey, so we know, because they have a stable of like artists that like you can do a lot of different ranges of different types of music. So they'll reach out to whoever's available, and really in reality, sometimes it's just like whoever's available gets that track, or they develop relationships with a lot of different musicians and producers. So it's like it really is just kind of like they have that stable of artists that can put that together, and that's kind of how production music works. That's different from the sync side of things. We do have another separate department that is constantly out there like pitching the actual artists that they have on the label, people like Adam Lambert and people like that are more known relevant artists, right? That have a name recognition. So, but there's a different department that's actually pitching actual known artists into like commercials and TV, film like that. But the arm that I work in is more kind of like not known artists would have put together like just like anonymous music kind of thing, that kind of thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's more than just like one thing. You guys are doing array of
it's all types of genres, Yeah, like it goes from anywhere from even like, actually our company actually worked on the Frankie Quinones show this fall.
I was just gonna bring that up. I was gonna bring that up that show had so many like local artists and like bands that weren't like as big, but we knew who they were. Yeah, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I don't think we did. Like, I don't know exactly how it all worked, but I think we had a few tracks. But then another company had another a series of tracks that were on the show. But I know that I'm sorry, I forget his name, from the Los Yesteryears. He actually wrote the music for that.
Bad Vic.
Bad Vic, yeah. So
did
he wrote, or it may have been Gabriel, the other guy. I'm blanking on their names. But there's two guys in Los Yesterdays or Los Yesteryears. Yeah, so that's great, because like a band like that, an artist like that is within our world, right?
Yeah.
Is getting exposure on a show like that, so I think that's opening up the world to like, especially in Latino scene and Chicano scene, like like you take the Evan Mendes movie that just came out, like with the Flaming Hot movie.
Have you seen it?
I want to watch it. I know it came out Friday. I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting to watch it probably this weekend.
It's
All right.
really good.
We won't ruin the ending for you.
Okay. Don't ruin it.
It's really good though.
It's a really good movie. It's inspirational. I cried like 5 times
Dang,
during
that's an
the,
endorsement. Yeah.
like 3 times.
He was like sitting in the corner over there by himself, and
Did you
then
say,
when
"Don't
it's
look at
done, he's like, "Well, I didn't know he was crying. I was sitting over here on the couch, and he was at my parents' house." And then when it was done, he's like, "Man, I cried."
Yeah.
What the heck?
I was working on what was I doing? I was like doing cutting clips for like an hour and a half watching the show, and like I was listening to it and I was multitasking, and yeah, dude, it's so powerful. It's just like super inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. The production on it was awesome. They pretty funny. I mean, there's some scenes in there that were pretty comical. It was great. Altogether, it was a great movie. Well put together.
Yeah, that's refreshing because we kind of need more movies like that, right? You know,
Yeah.
like they say like that even in like, you know, going back to like streaming, like we had Hentified and that went away, right? And we had
2 seasons? Was it 2 seasons?
maybe? I think it was, yeah.
Or 3?
3. I think it was 3.
Right?
Yeah, and then we had. I think. Do you remember On My Block? That
On
was
My
another
Block,
one show. That was
they took
like,
it off.
yeah, and that's gone now. So
Yeah.
what movies
They also
and films?
did
do we
Por
have
Vida
left?
on Showtime.
That's true.
That was, and it's done.
Yeah. So you know, you take a show like this. Well, I'm glad that that's getting renewed. That's got a second season coming. So we need more of that kind of stuff, man. You know.
Yeah. And I think altogether, the support's there. I mean, the audience is there. It's a matter of like sharing and showing up for those types of shows.
I wonder if those shows like we watch them, Latinos watch them, but is it not enough to keep them up? Because it's only one certain type of demographic that can, or not that can watch them, but relates and watches them. And I wonder if that's why they're pulling them.
Yeah, that might be the case. You know, again,
Yeah.
I don't work in that space, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
I got to figure that's probably
What's happening?
that's got to be some truth to that because, like, you know, yeah, like in the end of the day, like I'm sure like Squid Game and shows like that are obviously pulling in huge numbers, but you give On My Block or the show like that, it's not going to compete against that. And
Yeah.
you know, but I mean, it's good that, you know, like I said, going back to this Hulu, like that. Maybe because Hulu is a smaller platform, I think they're not as big as Netflix and some of the
They're
other
not as
platforms that-
competitive.
But it's
It's
still a
surviving
pretty,
there.
but I think it's still a pretty big platform, Hulu.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
Yeah, I think as long as we continue to show up for things like that in our
exactly.
community, you know.
yeah, you know, and even in my case, like, you know, I know you had, you know, Johnny from Chick on Hollywood on, you know, a few months ago, and like, it's for me, it's important for people like myself to be quote unquote in the industry, right? And it's going to take people from the inside to kind of change that. You know, it's like we can be yelling all day long.
Oh,
about,
absolutely.
Like, you should be more, you know, people of color and Latinos within, you know, I mean, on TV and whatnot and on our shows. But it's going to be, it's important for people like me of Latino Chicano descent to be working in the actual companies from within, right? So that's going to be a long, obviously that's going to be a progression that we do for, you know, decades, of course. But I mean, like, you know, all I can do is kind of do my own piece, right, from within.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are doing it now. You've done it with Wiretap. You're doing it a little bit more with My Grito. So 2014 you started Wiretap, and that was out of pure I need to fucking do this type of attitude.
Yeah, kind of. I guess call it. You know, some people might call it a midlife crisis. Some people might call it like, you know, just boredom, whatever. At the time I was working at K-ROQ, like I said, and by all accounts, you know, having a great job, loving my job. You know, obviously we can get into stories of K-ROQ and, you know, like the stories that, you know, the memories that I've made there, obviously, you know, going to concerts and, you know, getting the perks that obviously working at K-ROQ is they were great, you know, but by all accounts, loving my job but still not really feeling like creatively fulfilled, you know, like, and even more like musically fulfilled. Like I was like going to concerts and like pretty much every weekend and getting free tickets to shows. And like, you know, obviously like one would look at that and be like, dude, why were you creatively fulfilled? You know, like, but I was going to like concerts like the Foo Fighters and, you know, Cage the Elephant and like huge artists, like, you know, great concerts, going to Wiener Roast and doing, you know, amazing things. But I felt like I wasn't really in touch with like independent music which is a big part of like who shaped me as like I was when in my late 20s, or I mean in my early 20s, like I started listening to more like independent punk and independent hardcore and like just different types of more music, right? And I felt like I had lost that part of like going to shows and like going to like all ages shows, or even going to like, you know, shows like, you know, small bars or whatever. I was going to like concerts, not shows, you know. So I told my wife like one day, like, you know, it sat with me for a few months. You know, I was like, kind of want to do this, but it's, you know, I just had, you know, like I had a, you know, my daughter and my boy were like, I was married now. I had started a family. We had just bought a house. You know, by all accounts, you know, the perfect life, right? Great job. Had a family, just had 2 kids, you know, like what more do you want? Right. But just, you know, I told my wife one day, I'm like, I think I want to, you know, put out a 7-inch, you know, like put out a 45 record. And she's like, you want to start a label? And I, no, I don't think so. I just want to do like one and be done with it. Just a kind of bucket list type thing, you know? And she's like, how much is it going to cost? Which is obviously the question one, right? So, you know, I told her what it was going to cost, you know, and say, hey, this is the plan. I found these 2 bands that are into it, you know, that are open to doing it. They know it's going to be only one-time thing, and, you know, get out of my system. You know, so I found 2 local bands. Actually, one of them actually was, I think you're from like, I brought you a record actually from a band called Audio Karate. So they're a band that I actually knew from like going to their shows when I was like, you know, maybe 19, 20 years old, back in like 99, I want to say, maybe 2000. And, you know, these guys had a side project called Indian School. So I reached out to those guys and say, hey, I'm going to put out a 7-inch for you guys, you know, and it'll be done, one and done, it'll be done. So safe to say that like that was going to be just one time, and, you know, that was going to be it. Luckily and unfortunately, I guess, you know, like it did well. It did better than I imagined it to be. You know, it sold fairly well, and, you know, here I am, 150 plus releases now, and 10 years next year.
Wait, how much?
150 plus releases over 9 years, and next year celebrates 10 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
Whoa, dude.
Thank you, guys.
And what's a 7-inch? Sorry, I'm an idiot when it comes to music stuff.
So a 7-inch is the smaller records.
The smaller ones.
Yeah. So the 12-inch is like the full LP.
Those are the traditional looking records.
They look like, you know, they fit in, you know, like 12 inches, right? So 7-inch is that's why they call them 12-inch, because like if they're 12-inch from top to bottom, you know, and circular. So 7-inch is half size, but they traditionally only fit about 2 songs or 3 songs. So in like the 50s and 60s or whatever, like that's how singles were like made to like, they would press 7 inches, 45s, and they would put on singles on them, or they would give them like to the radio jockeys, or they would like sell them at like stores. So people would buy 7 inches. You know?
Okay, let me reiterate this, see if I'm learning anything. So 45, those are single songs, right? One on side A, one on side B.
Yeah, and that's only because like you can't fit as much music on a 7-inch or a 45.
Gotcha.
Same thing. 7-inch and a 45 are the same thing.
Oh, they're the same thing.
They're just referred to differently.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
And by 45, I mean like that's the RPM, the way you play it. On a turntable, there's 2 speeds to play a record, 45 and a 33 RPM. That's revolutions per minute. I'm no physicist and all that, or however all that works, whatever. But I know that there's, you know, you play a 7-inch on 45, but if you play a 12-inch on 45 RPM, it's going to sound like Chipmunks.
Oh yeah.
So,
spins too fast,
spins
right?
Too fast. So it's the way that the needle digs into the actual groove at a certain speed.
Okay. Now I understand. Okay.
See, now you're not an idiot. You're less of an idiot.
I'm less. But that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen.
Learning.
You got to ask questions, even though it sounds dumb. You got to ask questions. This is why I do podcasts.
There's no dumb questions.
No,
just dumb people.
Just people that want to be less dumb. Okay, Amber.
Those are my words of encouragement for you today.
Jeez, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm always here with more.
So you started Wiretap as a passion project during your years working for K-ROQ?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this was 2014. So yeah, I had already been at K-ROQ for, 8 years now.
Wow.
At that time. So I started, and I remember even when I started, and I told people like, "Hey, I'm doing this," you know, and people were like, admittedly, like even nowadays, like people starting a record label in 2000, much less 2023 today, or started even 2014, like people were like, what are you doing? Like record labels are done. Like people don't need record labels. And I got all that, but I wasn't doing it because like I knew that was going to be like my my full-time job and whatnot. Like I was doing it because like I felt I was being creative with it, and I was helping people, bands out. I was doing it because I wanted to do it more from a creative standpoint and actually do it for, as opposed to actually having to pay my bills.
If you are able to compare starting a label in 2014, what would that be in 2023? If you're able to compare that, like what would it be? Because I'm trying to find out like what the climate was like during 2014 to starting a record label.
Probably the most, like the biggest difference would be like there's more people doing it now. Like everyone has a label now. And even in 2014, I think there was a lot of people that were doing it back then. But I mean, in the space that I was getting into, which is like the punk and hardcore, space, it never went away. There's been labels like for, since like the 80s with like Discord and like, Minor Threat and like the DC, like, so labels have been around for, decades. Right.
Right.
But I mean, like it never went away. You take a label like Epitaph Records, which is a massive, major indie, they refer to that as Epitaph or like a Fat Records, right? These labels never stop supporting independent bands, so it's like that's kind of how I modeled what I wanted to do with my label, was to like get to the point to be a major indie, but never be like a Capitol Records or anything like that. If it gets to there, great, but I think if you go into it with that ambition to be like, I want to be Capitol Records, I want to be Atlantic Records, like that's where you kind of get misconceptions. Like your expectations are kind of like misguided on that. Be like, because the music industry has changed so much since those days that it's very hard to get to label to grow to that level nowadays.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you worked at iHeartRadio too, or
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after
KLOS.
Yeah.
Dude.
I ran the gamut with the, on the dial, I guess, moving from one station to the other. So after K-ROQ, I worked 2 years at KLOS, which again, it was another, iconic landmark, radio station here in LA, working with like Frosty, Heidi and Frank, in the morning.
Oh, cool.
Dude, I used to listen to them, I want to say like 2015, 16.
Yeah.
Ish.
They're still doing their thing. Yeah. They're
On
still
my
doing a
way.
great show. Yeah.
Who is it now? It's just Heidi and Frank, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Frosty left,
Yeah.
and then what was the other cat's name? I forgot his name. The skinny one.
Frank.
Yeah,
so it's Frank. It was Frosty, Heidi, and Frank, and Frosty is no longer on the show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just, I believe Heidi and Frank only left
Yeah.
on the show.
My coworker used to do the K-ROQ Hager out in Redlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those guys. He did it like twice a year or something like that. It was a great event, dude.
Yeah, they put on great events.
Yeah.
Like when I was there, we did a handful of events, and like just like any other, like Kevin and Bean used to do these insane events, right? Like, but Heidi and Frank would do some awesome shows that, a lot of stuff didn't get on the air because it was risque, like there was, again, this is after, we can kind of get back into the days. So like we can kind of go over the days of like pre-Janet Jackson, Super Bowl thing.
Oh yeah.
That was what, 2003, I want to say 2002, maybe, or 4, whatever that was. That's when things kind of changed, and you couldn't do anything, not only on air, but you couldn't do anything on the streets. Like pre-Janet Jackson having a what do you call it? A wardrobe malfunction.
Wardrobe malfunction
on the Super Bowl on national TV, right?
Yeah.
After that, like all our on-air talent got pulled into the room and said, you cannot do anything that's gonna, because CBS got sued.
Did they really?
Yeah, I think that's where it came down from. Because after that happened, we got memos and emails. I remember getting that email, like, because I was on the sales team, so we got notified that any time that there's any kind of a controversial client, like I think like whatever it was, like it's got to be ran by legal and stuff. And that's when Ralph Garman used to be on K-ROQ. He had this thing called Sex You on, where he would like give tips on like relationship advice, and it was a lot of like love line, but it was a little bit more, a little bit more adult themed. So that show went away, and even for us, when at the time I was a van driver at the streets, like, passing out stickers and like, we'd go to a 2-hour van hit at like Sprint or whatever, T-Mobile, whatever. And like, hang out, play music, whatever, do giveaways. And before Janet Jackson, we were able to do like contest, hey, everybody, we're hanging out here. First person that can go down the street, run home, whatever, and get your Kevin and Bean CD to bring home, right?
Yeah.
Like something as simple as that, we couldn't do anymore because like now we got legal involved. What if somebody crosses the street and gets run over by a car or whatever, things like that, So
Whoa.
a lot of stuff changed after that. We couldn't do more creative type things like that. It was more just like play music, give away CD, whatever, and stickers, and that's pretty much it. So, but yeah, Frosty Eye and Frank used to do some crazy fun stuff too.
Were you watching the Super Bowl when that happened?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did any of that like come to your mind when you were watching that? Like, this is going to be something that's going to change the entertainment industry.
I think we all just
industry.
That's not the first time it had happened in the past. Right. Like things like that happen all the time. Even in, like it's live TV. Like things like that would happen. I think I remember even like watching WWF like long ago. Like one of the women's wrestlers, like something fell out.
Oh yeah.
And I was like on a pay-per-view and like. But I think that's pay-per-view. That's not live, Channel 2 or, CBS, whatever. So I have no idea that it was going to change to that degree. And it's changed over,
right.
It's all changed since then.
Yeah. We pay $50 for this pay-per-view. So we got to see something.
Yeah. Get your money's worth.
So yeah, something has to fall out. Right.
What fell out?
A chest.
Pull it up. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Pull it up.
No, there was a few times that has happened, like because all that was live, and even before that, there was a couple of things that happened on SmackDown, which was pre-recorded on like the Tuesday, and then it would come out on Thursday. There was a couple of things too that I've seen. You can YouTube this. I think it was like the top 10 times WWE forgot to edit something out before airing. And there's just like some wild stuff. Yeah. Like I can't believe they left that in. Left it in.
Wow. Actually, now that I remember, it didn't fall out from Janet Jackson. Like I keep going back
ripped
to it. Out. Yeah, Justin Timberlake ripped it. And,
But there was this whole like she was mad at him for a long time, and then they did all this controversy of him like doing it like knowingly, like. There was this whole thing like where after it wasn't an accident. Like he was like a womanizer. Like he did it on purpose.
Like it was a planned thing?
Yeah, something like that. You know how after something big there's always this other like naysayers or things that arise from it. But that's what I had heard, that it was supposedly like
there's two sides of the story, right?
It's like the Hot Cheeto one where I told you that now people are saying that it really wasn't him and all these things. So.
I wasn't gonna bring it up. But since you brought it up, have you heard about that? That Amber knows a little bit more about that, but I'm pretty intrigued to knowing what that other story is. That there's something out there on the internet saying that he wasn't the creator of the Hot Cheeto.
Yeah, I heard something along that lines, but I don't know exactly. I had heard that, Amber, you probably know more than what I'm about to say. But
I don't.
I had heard that like there's some truth to it, but like he wasn't the only one.
Yeah, I think that's what I had heard.
I know he was definitely involved, and he was like, he brought up the idea, but maybe somebody had already kind of put it into play, and he kind of took credit for it. I don't know. Again,
well,
I don't know that story.
Like, I guess it's not giving anything away, but they do in the movie kind of infer that another plant, like another Lay's plant, was already working on a hot version.
Oh, they did? I missed that part.
Yeah, you don't remember? But they were doing it with like chemicals. Like
no, Oscar gave me all these timestamps that he wanted me to clip, so
that's what you were doing.
That's what I was doing.
You were crying, clipping his clips, not the movie. Just kidding.
Speaking of other chips, you guys, maybe I might date myself, but do you guys remember Crunch Taters?
Whoa, no.
Oh, what's that?
So pull it up.
Pull it up.
Crunch Taters were around in like, I want to say the mid 90s. And they were like, they have them now actually, pretty common. But like they're jalapeno flavored, like whatever, kettle chips kind of thing.
Oh.
And they were awesome. They were the first spicy chips that are like, as a kid, all you had was like, that's them. And there's a famous scene in Home Alone where watch, if you keep scrolling, you'll probably come across some Macaulay Culkin. Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, right here.
So he's eating those on the movie. And I remember seeing that and I was like, dude, that's a meal right there. Crunch Shaders and Pepsi. Like, that was my lunch in high school. You know what I mean? Like that's a bag of Crunch Shaders and a Pepsi. That was my break and my lunch. So
I wonder what happened
I used
to
to
them.
love those.
They pulled them off.
Frito-Lay Crunch Shaders, yeah. One of those chips that kind of came and went, and
Oh, crunch tater like an alligator. Oh.
so they're like
There's original, and then there was Mighty Mesquite.
Yeah. So
Hot Cheeto.
nice fun
Took
fact.
them
for you.
off. Nice.
They took him out.
They took them out. There was only room for one hot chip.
Oh, and it was a
Yeah,
hot.
and that
style
was
chip?
before Flaming Hot. You know, there was a hot one too. I think.
But imagine, dude, this one idea, this one flavor that just revolutionized a whole fucking decade of not just chips, but like there's soda,
History,
there's
yeah.
different products.
I want my money
It's
back,
a
though.
full brand. You're what?
I said I want my money back.
For what?
Now I have like gastritis and I can't eat past 10
It's a whole
o'clock.
generation
There's a whole
of gastritis.
generation
You're
of
right.
Telling me, yeah,
fucked up
get those-
stomachs.
We get those from Costco. My kids eat Flaming Hot literally every like the big box. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm guilty of the one because we're the ones who buy it, right? But yeah, we're all kind of suffer. From
I
that
remember
later.
when they came out because I think they came out like 95, 96. So I was 5, 6 years old. I was just starting to go to school, and I always tell Gail the story that when they first came out, I was like, oh my god, like I need to eat more of these. So my parents used to give me exact money, right, for lunch. And my mom was always the type like, no, she doesn't need money for snacks, like, you know, because not that we were monitoring what we ate, but we ate at home and things like that. So anyways, I used to tell the lunch lady that I forgot my money at home. And then she'd be like, okay, just bring your money tomorrow. So they wouldn't deny you lunch, right? And she'd be like, okay, just bring me your money tomorrow. So you'll owe double. So I owed like $1 something, right? $1.50. And then I would use that money to go and buy hot Cheetos. And at that time, the store, like the little student store, used to sell them for 10 cents.
She's a hustler.
So I used to buy like fucking 6, 7 bags of hot Cheetos, and I would just keep them in my backpack. I was like 6 years old. And then I would go home and I'd be like, Dad, can I just have some money, please? I want to buy a snack. So then I would go back and then I would pay my debt from the lady. And then my dad always gave me a little extra. So then I had extra. I would do that at least like twice a week. And then I started like hoarding my chip. Like it was like this whole operation of how to get hot Cheetos. I was addicted. It was like
Economics.
my crack. Like I was addicted to them.
That's so funny.
And it never stopped until like a couple years ago when my stomach couldn't take them.
Yeah, but it's like a whole brand, dude.
They revolutionized everything.
They did.
Because there's everything. Like there's not only Flaming Hot Cheetos, there's Flaming Hot Doritos now, and like I don't know if
Funyuns,
Hot
everything,
fries,
yeah.
Funyuns,
pretty much everything. Yeah.
popcorn,
Doritos,
peanuts.
popcorn. You said popcorn, right?
Yeah.
Mountain Dew.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have one on the fridge.
Yeah, you want to try it?
That doesn't sound good, is it?
You want to
should
try it?
Yeah, maybe.
Let's try it. I haven't tried it, so we can try it on air together.
All right, let's do
Yeah?
it.
Okay.
It's
All right.
Flaming Hot Mountain Dew.
Flamin' hot Mountain
Mountain
Dew.
Dew.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Here, Rob is. We're all asking a story, and then we're like, "Hey, you want to try Mountain Dew?"
I don't know if that sounds like. I'm a little nervous actually about it.
Have you had it?
Oh, well, actually, if you think about it, it's actually more like a michelada, right? Like it's the same. It's spicy.
I have no idea.
All right.
Where you guys are about to find out because I won't be partaking in
is
this.
this your only can? Gil?
It is, but we can get
All
more.
right.
Don't worry. But yeah, it sounds kind of. They do like flaming hot sushi. It's just there's hot Cheetos and everything.
Yeah.
Hot Cheeto sopes, hot Cheeto tacos. It's crazy.
Hot Cheeto sushi.
Yeah, that's how I said hot
It's an
Cheetos.
empire.
You guys are gonna shoot it?
Well, these are the only glasses I found.
All right. Show the camera because people got to see that. Yeah.
Put it on our product cam.
There you go.
Mountain Dew, hot Cheeto, sponsor us.
Get that. All right. I'm excited, dude.
Do this, dude. Yeah. Oh, you got that.
Try it.
I've been waiting for like a good moment, and this is a perfect moment. Yeah.
All right.
Look at the color.
Oh.
The Mindbuzz is powered by Mindbuzz Media. Mindbuzz Media is an on-site video and audio podcast production company. Have you ever thought about starting your own video and audio podcast? Or do you have an existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Mindbuzz Media brings a professional podcast studio to you. Visit mindbuzz.org for more.
Isn't Mountain Dew already like bad for you?
Yeah.
Wasn't there like this like thing where it like lowered your sperm count?
Any type of...
Now on top of that with hot Cheetos?
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Look at that. Look at the color on that.
Jeez.
It's not bad. It tastes like Mountain Dew with a little...
It's a little
kick.
hint.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not all hot Cheeto.
Does it taste like hot Cheetos though?
It has like a little
It's
like
very, very subtle.
lingering taste. Like if you would to dip
Yeah.
a hot Cheeto in Mountain Dew for like a couple of seconds
Yeah. All right.
and let it hang out in there for a little bit.
I thought it was going to have a lot more like kick.
Yeah, like
you know,
spice or
like
something.
Spice, yeah. Like I don't know. Like if you put like tahini in there or whatever or something and a little bit of like pepper in there or something. It's cool. It's fine.
What happened?
Because I smelled it. I smelt it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
smelt it?
Oh yeah, if you smell it, you can actually,
It smells like hot Cheetos?
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit more.
Just give it a besito.
Right? I know. I'm like, I'm using the mezcal etiquette here.
That's how you're supposed to drink the flaming hot Mountain Dew, like mezcal.
Hey, Firme Mezcal should do a
A
collaboration
collab with
Mountain Dew.
Flaming Hot.
Flaming Hot.
Well,
Oh, but yeah.
I'm glad I tried it for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would order that.
No.
Because that's like a one-off thing, right? It was like a seasonal thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
The person that got it for us got it from like this like store that does like
Cool.
exotic snacks or something like that.
Next week, we're going to try Doritos from Japan, ladies and gentlemen, which are still in your drawer, right? Hopefully. Or did you eat them?
No, we
Don't
ate
tell me
'em.
you ate them.
We ate them.
We ate them. Who's we?
My dad and I.
Did you really?
We did.
This whole time since November, really?
Yeah.
Are they like spicy, like the
Oh,
chip
no, they're
cheese thing,
delicious.
whatever kind of
They're
thing?
They're taco
delicious.
flavor. I know that
Yeah.
sounds weird, but
Well, it's the same concept, right? In Mexico, aren't the ones in Mexico nacho like flavor like that, taco flavor?
no, they're just
No?
regular cheese. But they're
Mm.
spicy.
Oh yeah, they are spicy.
The
No, but the Doritos in Japan, they're like a taco flavor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know that Taco Bell seasoning that
Yeah.
you used to
Yeah.
get?
It has like cumin, but it's also kind of
Mhm.
like sweet at the same time.
But it literally tastes like the seasoning from Taco Bell
Like for the meat?
for the meat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like,
You can buy that?
imagine that on chips.
Chip.
yeah, you
yeah.
can buy the seasoning.
The
They
Taco
used to
Bell
do the-
seasoning?
Can you really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. I remember my tia used to get it all the time.
Isn't it
Yeah.
just like
She's like, we have Taco Bell at home. I'm like, fuck.
Isn't
okay.
it just like
It's
the
not
little
same.
packs that you get like to like make taco meat or tacos?
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah, but it was Taco Bell.
But
like,
it's actually
brand.
like
Oh, I see.
branded Taco
I
Bell.
think they
I
even
see.
did like shells at some point too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. We didn't make those, but my friends.
You didn't
did.
make them?
No, my friends did.
No? You wanted to.
There was a
though.
lot of stuff that I didn't get to eat. I think
Yeah.
Rob, you and I had this conversation, right? The last time that you were here, where we were talking about like you didn't get a lot of stuff too growing up, right? Like
Yeah.
to eat or things like that. Not
Oh, yeah.
because you couldn't, but it was just more your upbringing, right? Was
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah, no, no, I grew up in a very religious home, as a kid. I grew up a 7-day Adventist, which is basically a step right below as strict as like Mormons. So not that it was like that strict, whatever, but
Right.
growing up as I think, and towards the end of my like as I got older, my older brothers got like the worst of it. They were like my parents were very much into it when they were younger. By the time I was born, I think they were kind of slowly kind of not getting out of it, but they were like not as, into it, I guess, or not as like psyched about it, I guess. Right. But I think towards like, maybe I was like 7 or 8 or 9 is when they started kind of like,
oh, okay.
They were like, I think it's okay if we miss like, maybe we'll just skip church on Friday night. Because like in 7-Day Adventist, like you literally, it's the Sabbath. You have to, there's no TV, there's nothing basically, no Friday night through Monday morning. Like there's
wow.
Yeah. So it's very strict and very like, all you do is basically go to church on Friday night. You go to Saturday service and then Sunday service. Like it's literally all you do on the weekends.
What was it like growing up like that at 5, 6, 7 years old?
It's all you knew.
Yeah.
Like all my, like I'd see my cousins and they were all in the church too. Like we were all bored as kids. You're like, but that's all you knew, like, but yeah, like you kind of, with everything else, that's all you kind of know, right? Like, that there's a world out there, especially with like, I'd go to school and I'd talk to my friends and they'd be into like, whatever, like Michael Jackson or Prince or whatever and things like that. I'd be like, I don't know who that is. I know that these people exist, but I didn't really know who they were, like, right. It was like, that's the secular world. That's like, that's not, so like, I knew there was like Madonna and people like that, but I wasn't allowed to listen to that kind of stuff at that age. Later on, I guess like when I turned like 8 or 9, whatever, then my parents were like a little bit more open to that. And that's when the musical world kind of exploded on me, like pop culture exploded on me. And like, I started watching movies more and like, taking in more pop culture, and I think when that happened, me and my brothers just like consumed everything, like it's funny because like we went from being very, like secluded to all that kind of stuff to literally everything came in at once, like horror movies and like WWF, which is, arguably like, that's something your Christian kids want to watch, right? Like,
right.
At that age. Yeah. To basically taking in like, hip hop music and taking in like, pop music or, Run DMC and things like that, so, but yeah, like growing up as in that environment was, I think kind of actually did kind of help me actually appreciate my first love of music because like, to say what you say about gospel music, religious music in general, it still makes you feel something,
Right.
So gospel music was the first type of music that actually made me feel something, so.
Yeah. Absolutely. Don't they say that Lucifer was like he played like instrument? There's like a story, right, where with Lucifer, like something about he was like a singer or some shit like that. I don't know.
The Robert Johnson thing?
No. The Robert Johnson thing is totally different. But what I'm saying is Lucifer had followers because of like music. There's a story in there somewhere. Of like in Christianity.
I think there's something. I think you're
right.
onto something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. But yeah, like that makes sense. That.
Did your parents? Because you said right that your parents came here from Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Did they already come with that previous like religious background from Mexico, or was it introduced to them once they got here?
That particular, the Seventh-day Adventist was actually part of my mom's side of the family. Mm-hmm. So I think that's when my dad married my mom, he, took in, the religious side of her family. Yeah, like I said, and even going back to like, us when they were involved, like even when I was still, like I told you, like we started kind of listening to more, popular music, whatever, but we were still going to church, like, and even so much like my mom was a singer. So she would sing at church, and there's even a time that at one point, like me and my brothers actually started joining her on stage. So we were kind of like a little Mexican Partridge family. Like we'd go to Mexico and sing at the churches. We'd do like tours and stuff, like, so yeah, I vividly remember like going in summertime and driving in the, station wagon and going to Ensenada and going to like,
oh wow,
and stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So we'd go to like, they'd invite my mom to go sing. Like actually my mom she actually recorded an actual album. You can actually pull it up actually. If you type in Raquel Castellon, Canta para Cristo.
On YouTube?
Yeah, just type it into Google and it'll...
And then whatever comes out?
Yeah, whatever comes up. Raquel with the Q. Canta para Cristo.
How long were you guys doing that for? Like doing the tours and everything?
A few years, man. You know, probably 5-6 years.
And that's got to be so exciting because just knowing church, right? That's all you knew at that time.
And it's like that's what we did in the summer.
Right.
The first one, that's on the Wiretap Bandcamp.
Oh, you guys put it on there?
Oh, really?
Like it was Mother's Day, like a few years ago, or like maybe 5-6 years ago. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give my mom a proper release. You know.
Aw.
So,
Oh, wow.
so nice. So yeah, so my mom recorded that album. Never had a proper release. You kind of just, she came home, got a few like cassettes, like the guy gave her to after he recorded it, and kind of that was it. Like never had a proper release. So I'm like, I'm gonna give my mom a proper release and have it out there. It's on Spotify.
She sounds great.
Yeah, it's like that.
She has like that 70s.
70s, like that was definitely her influence. Like she loved like stuff like it's that era. It's like 70s, it's kind of like very vocal kind of stuff. So yeah, and there is actual recordings up there of yours truly and my brothers at like pre-puberty, obviously singing on stage with my mom, and my dad would actually work the board, so we'd.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so we'd actually like quote unquote tour. We'd go to like 3 cities or whatever, but we'd go in and perform. And my mom was a star, and we'd accompany her, sing songs too with her, with my dad working the board.
She sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds really good. And props to you, dude, for giving her a proper release like that.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, my mom passed 2 years ago. So
I was gonna ask you, did she get to listen to it?
She did, yeah. She before she passed, I did, surprise her with make CDs because there had never been actual physical besides the few I think she brought 100 cassettes that she gave out to people around the church and stuff like that. So we had maybe 4 or 5 copies of the actual cassette. That was, so I had to get it converted to digital, and then you can still hear the cracks and stuff on the actual digital version.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I put it up on Spotify, and so all our cousins in the US could all listen to it.
Oh.
Yeah,
so, yeah, it was cool and I think she was. Because that whole world's everything that I do with Wiretap and, my radio gigs and, my day job, it's such a foreign thing to my parents, but when I surprised her with that, it was she's like, what do you mean? Anybody can listen to this? I can just send this to my tia or whatever, or my cousins, los primos, and they can hear it. So I was happy that she was able to do that and see that,
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really nice of you.
And the cover art and all that was part of the first.
That's so 80s, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. that was groundbreaking in graphic design back then.
Was it?
I guess. Look at that little silhouette of my mom. And
what is that, a tower? What is, oh yeah,
it's a lighthouse.
Oh, it's a lighthouse. Okay.
It looks cool though.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of artists are going back to this look though. I've seen a couple of album covers that are like this, graphic-y with other stuff on there.
Yeah.
Textured.
Yeah.
Graphite type of stuff.
Things always repeat themselves, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to say that way. My mom was very DIY before it was cool to be DIY, So
that's cool. That's good. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah. So what was your fondest memory of the church? Was it the music?
Yeah. At that age, I guess it's hard to comprehend your own spirituality and all that, so I think I knew that I had faith and all that, but you're a kid, it's that's just what you did. Mom sang at the church and you kind of went there and played with your cousins and other kids and stuff, and, at the end of the day you went home and, I guess that towards the end, we would get to listen, watch TV and, things like that. So, but I mean, it's all you knew.
I read somewhere that most Seventh-day Adventists are vegetarians.
Not vegetarians. We can eat pork.
Oh, can eat pork, but most of them are
Most
vegetarian?
of them stick to just chicken and beef sometimes, but no pork at all.
You know what's crazy? So, are you familiar with Redlands, California? Mm-hmm. So there's a big population of Seventh-day Adventists in Redlands, California, and that is. Are you familiar with blue zones? Mm-hmm. So blue zones are regions of certain parts of the world that have a population of longevity. So Redlands is the only blue zone in the United States because of their diet, because of their Vegetarianism.
So as a longevity, you mean like the longer they're living
Yes.
is because of their diet?
Because of their diet.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Interesting, yeah.
Redlands, California.
Wow.
Yeah, and then now we won't get into it, but
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
I know.
They're also racist.
No, don't.
I'm just kidding.
Really?
Not everybody.
Pros and cons.
Right.
We have some long living reasons. I'm just kidding.
They're
joking.
living longer so they can be racist longer.
No, because I seen obviously it's not everybody that lives there, but
Right.
there was like I guess a Proud Boys that live there within the community.
There's probably Proud Boys.
No, there is everywhere, but that one made the headlines of them going to a school.
There's probably some in Chino. There's probably some in Long Beach.
No,
There's
I'm not saying there's not.
They're just everywhere.
I'm saying that's the article that I read.
Where are you getting your information
Are you the
from?
mayor of Redlands or what?
I could be.
That's nice.
I'm running
No, Redlands.
2024.
Redlands is beautiful.
It
It's
is
a
nice.
really
It's
nice
really
city.
Really
nice.
nice, yeah. But
They're the only blue zone. California,
Blues
pull it
are,
up.
man, yeah.
I believe you.
Blue zone. No, I found that piece of information when I was studying nutrition a few years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was just it was a wild thing to. That's the only place and I think it's like in Northern America too,
Wow.
because there's some parts in like the Philippines and China. I think the few Latin American countries too.
Redlands, huh?
Yeah, but so was the gospel music like your earlier influences of music that they had on you?
Yeah, initially, I think like it was all a progression. I think, I think as I keep going back to my parents, as they started slowly kind of like accepting more popular pop culture into our life, right? Like, my mom used to do it. She didn't go straight to like,
Black
Prince
Sabbath.
Prince and like,
Right.
whatever. Like it was
Led
more like,
Zeppelin.
she would listen to like Kenny Rogers and like Johnny Mathis or like Neil Diamond. She loved Neil Diamond. So, and my dad is still listening to like, my dad actually didn't really, he was kind of indifferent to music. Like
Yeah.
they would listen to like the AM station, which kind of called KWIC. And it was a lot of that kind of stuff, Chicago and Air Supply, like basically 70s, like adult contemporary, what we call now,
Right.
And slowly like my mom would venture out off the dial and it would be like, whatever, Madonna or, Prince or whatever, or, like 90s pop music, like Wilson Phillips or like Janet Jackson or Paula Abdul and things like that, Mariah Carey, So slowly we started getting more exposed to that kind of stuff, and then as we got older, we started going to school and talking to our friends, of course, and it was like, this is when my world kind of exploded with more like hip hop, like, 90s like hip hop, like Belle Biv DeVoe, CNC Music Factory, and, things like that. So 90s pop music was probably like my first like addiction to like, I need it. What is this? I need it all, like.
Was it hip hop first and then rock and roll, or was it
Pretty
the
much,
other way
yeah,
around?
I think so. Yeah, I think in like, my early teens or preteens, like
Yeah.
I loved like CNC Music Factory and Belle Biv DeVoe and like Bobby Brown and stuff like that. Like that's like what was popular back then.
POD was
Vanilla
one
Ice,
of yeah.
crap
POD
like that,
was POD was the first. I just want to pull this up because we were talking about POD like a few days ago. POD was probably like one of the first like rock and roll band that I listened to, because they're like on the maybe you can correct me. They're on like the cusp of like Christian rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
And that was like my first concert was seeing them like at like a smaller venue.
Yeah.
And with my church. So I think I bought all their CDs. I had all their albums.
Yes.
That Brown was probably one to this day. Brown, aside from I think Satellite, right, it is one of my favorite albums.
Yeah.
From them.
Yeah. POD was definitely like they did embrace the the Christian rock, Christian rock
Right.
tag, I guess.
But they weren't always, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think they, like, I don't think they really are anymore. I think that was like a time and place that it was like cool to do that. Like a band like Switchfoot and bands like that it kind of totally embraced that. Even like Creed, they were a Christian band, but now they don't want to be that anymore because like, not that it's like not cool to be a Christian band, but like I think it's got it's this stigma now, right? so they don't want to be tagged that. Even like, going back to like it's funny you mentioned POD was one of your first like. I don't want to say like your parents maybe allowed you to, but it was okay that the church was like, okay, that's a Christian rock band,
Right.
The first punk band that I actually was my parents were okay with me listening to was, even though I was listening to Green Day and other stuff on the side that my parents didn't know about, but there was a band called MXPX, which is a Christian punk band.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they're a Christian punk band. Now they're kind of off. They don't really do that anymore. But that was a band that was on my radar because like I was introduced to them because like I saw them at a Christian music store. So things like that. Yeah.
Oh, and you did My Career's podcast too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So, which is a full circle. Obviously, being a fan of those guys,
Yeah.
for decades, and being on Mike's podcast last year or 2 years ago, maybe.
MXPX. I maybe have come across these guys like in my earlier teens, probably. But the first time that I heard ska music was a Christian ska band called The Outsiders.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, pull it up.
on YouTube or?
Yeah, YouTube or Google. Probably YouTube is probably the best one. Yeah, that was the first time I heard ska music, and I was like, "This is fucking
awesome,
amazing.
right?
This is fucking awesome." These guys are singing they're singing like so fast. Yeah, there we go.
These guys right here?
The Netherlands band? That's not them, right?
No, I think it's with the Z. The Outsider or the Insiders, it could be. Maybe the Insiders with the Z. Try the Insiders.
Were they from Orange County?
I don't know.
The Inside of Ska. Maybe. That's them.
There we go.
Yeah, that's them.
Yeah, oh yeah, clearly. Look at the album artwork.
That is
Hallelujah?
definitely
Yes.
90s ska music for sure. Christian punk. Yeah, there you go.
First time I heard punk, first time I heard ska was from this band.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And this is what it doesn't say the actual the year this was released, right? I imagine it's probably
Yeah, those bringing
7,
memories, dude.
obviously in the time like that's when I was in high school, and that's when I talk about like we're talking about like the stuff that I was exposed to, and my progression into like liking punk music and like music in general, right? So 94 was the year that I think that like I think there's three genres of music that I think that in 94 kind of like broke mainstream, right? That's the year that like 92, 93, 94 is the year that like Green Day got popular on the radio, Offspring, Rancid, all these bands got on K-ROQ and on the radio, say on, in general. That's the year that like Dr. Dre, The Chronic came out, and like that's that got on Power 106 and on hip hop, and ska, like got big, and it was on every movie.
No doubt.
Like, no doubt. Yeah. So that's the year that a lot of these subgenres kind of got on the radio and became their own genre. Right?
That was like the second wave, right? Of
for ska music, it was
for
the second
ska,
wave,
right?
Yeah.
Damn,
Second wave ska. Yeah. There's a third wave now, man. Yeah.
dude, the Insiders, bro. I'm reliving my. I think I was like 9-10 years old when I hearing that for the
I
first
didn't know
time.
Christian music had so many genres.
It just like any type of, just like secular music.
It's
It's
Christian
just
hardcore too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I didn't know.
hardcore music, but it's obviously it's based in faith based,
Yeah.
So
Rap.
I went to a
Listen to
hardcore show one time inside a church.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I mean, anywhere that they can play. Like that's why I was saying, like the POD concert that I went to, it was like a hardcore. There was like a hardcore band that opened. That was the first time I went to a mosh pit.
Yeah.
I think because of all these like Christian bands, like that's how like I began to love the subculture of going to shows, of music, and it was just growing up in the church, being able to only go to these certain venues, listen to this certain type of music, but it was still rock in a sense. It was still like, hip hop in a sense, but it was just like tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
What was your...
There's a lot of comparisons what you're talking about, like going to like Christian shows in general and going to just to shows in general, because like when you're young, you just want to belong to something, right? And I think even in like the Christian space, like or church shows, wherever, like you still feel like this is you're discovering something new that's yours, right?
Yes.
That's really what shows are. That's the appeal of like independent music, going to whether it's at a church or at a small DIY warehouse, whatever. It's like you feel like you're part of this little group of people or kids that are sharing this experience, right? So I think that's the appeal with even like Christian shows, you know.
Right. So hearing the story from Oscar, it was green docs that kind of was the key moment between you guys of being friends. So tell me about that. How did that happen?
So I knew Oscar because I'm a year older. Well, we're the same age, but I'm a year grade older than him and my other friends. So he was in 7th grade and I was in 8th grade. And taking it back even more, because I knew Oscar in 8th grade and he was in 7th grade at the intermediate school. And I knew of him, you know, Oscar was Mr. Popular, which he is, you know, surprisingly, that's his personality. Right?
Really?
Like
Okay.
He was like in ASB, like he was, I don't know what he was.
Mr.
Like,
Popular.
He was like, he's gonna listen to this and be like, I know I wasn't, but I remember him being some kind of like
sounds like an Oscar
secretary
thing to say.
or something on ASB. So he was on something, right? And I remember him being in all like, you know, doing all the events, whatever, and like selling cookies. Like, you know, your ASB you sell, you post up on like you're hanging posters and whatever, right? So I knew of him, but we never hung out in in junior high. So fast forward to like, you know, sophomore year, maybe junior, and you know, we started, you know, hanging out more and seeing each other more, like parties or whatever in school, whatever, you know. But I did see him. You're talking about the Green Docs.
Yeah,
he was rocking. The first time I saw him rock, he was wearing a Green Day shirt, Green Docs, and an Oakland A's hat. You know, because he had to match. Everything had to be all, you know, green, and so like, oh, okay, cool. You know, of course, that's when you're young. You're like, not everyone listens to Green Day. So you're like, oh, that dude likes, you know, good music. So we did bond over Green Day, or love for Green Day.
And for music.
Yeah. You know, like Dookie had just come out, you know, so like that was like, you know, like that was our bond, you know, initial bond to music and stuff, you know. And we also played baseball together. So it was like,
oh, okay, cool.
So I was like, that dude's cool. He listens to good music. Yeah.
He's Mr. Popular. I could be his friend.
He did get best dressed. Yeah, I'm sure he told you that, right?
Did he?
No,
he didn't tell.
He got best dressed in high school too. Yeah.
No, you probably heard that episode. So tell us what he didn't tell us.
Yeah, I'm sure he told you everything that he wants me to say.
Yeah, he sent us a long, detailed email of what he wants you to say. No.
Oh, did he? Okay.
No.
We read it word for word.
So it sounds like you have a lot on your plate, right? You do a lot. So how do you manage all of that? And this is something I asked Oscar as well, but how do you balance everything? How do you balance being a dad, being a husband, but yet running 2 record labels
BMG,
and still having
Wiretap,
a 9 to 5, you know, like how do you sleep? No.
Yeah, no, barely. Yeah.
Doing these podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't know. I actually get that question a lot, and I don't know. Like, how do you guys do it? You guys work, you know, your jobs as well. They do this. Like, it's like you just somehow get it done, and at the end of the day, you're about to go to bed, and you're like, oh crap, I did a lot today, you know. And like, you just kind of, I try to stay as organized as I can. Like, that's key. That's crucial. We have to, as in your day job, whatever you do, you have to be organized, or you are not gonna keep everything together, right? So I like to think that I have a good structure of things that I need to get done for that day, but also kind of like, you know, planning ahead and thinking long term about thinking, you know, about stuff you got to get done long term. But it really is just kind of like taking one thing by one thing at a time. But I honestly don't know. Like, I kind of thrive in that, if that makes sense. You know, like I think that might be part of the reason why I started Wiretap, because I was, I don't want to say the word bored, but I was kind of bored because I only had one thing, you know, like my wife's going to be like, she's going to kill me because it's like, you just had a kid. You should have focused on your family. Right. But that side obviously was fulfilling my personal life. Right. But I didn't have anything creative going. So maybe I overloaded now too much on the creative side, you know? So, you know, but I really don't know how I do it. I just kind of somehow, it's in my nature to have things, you know, have things going like that, you know?
The last conversation that we had about something like this, Amber, do you remember him saying it on air or off air about, like, you know, your group of people knowing if they have like a side gig.
Yes.
Was that on air or was that off air?
It may have been off air.
I think
Yeah?
it was off. I
Yeah,
think
it was off air.
That was such a good fucking point,
I think
dude.
what I said, and it may have been off air, is that like in my day jobs or even outside of like what I do, whenever I've clicked with somebody or I've felt like, oh, you know what, actually we have a lot in common, or that person kicks ass, they know how to handle their job and they do really well in their job. It's always been with people that I've learned that had a side hustle or had some kind of a passion project or whatever. Or they had a band or they were doing something like that involved hustle, you know, or in our language, like tienen ganas, right? So every time that I've ever met somebody that that dude's awesome or that person's awesome, it's like I've found out that they had a side hustle. You know, because that instills, like, when you're starting anything, like a business or whatever, or a band, you had to do it all, you know, and I think that's what I learned, you know, and even like, I think that's my day job, and even the other way around, like my day job and even the label has helped my current job, you know, because like as running Wiretap alone for a number of years before Oscar came in and helped me a little bit. And then obviously now Maguito, like I was doing it all, and I'm, you know, still do a large portion of it myself, but you have to do it all because there's no, that's just the nature of running something yourself, right? Like you do it all until you grow to the point where you can actually bring people on, right? So that's just in our nature to do it all, right? We have to do it.
Yeah. And there's something too about a creative person. Like if you're not doing a project, or if you're not doing something, they're just, it just becomes like, not bored, but like you have to do something, right?
Yeah. Like, you know, like, I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing Wiretap or Maguito right now, you know, like, I think, you know, obviously as Maguito continues to evolve into what it's going to be in the next 5 years or whatever, and even Wiretap, what it's going to be in the next 5 years, like, I'm sure it'll evolve, but I think I'm still going to be doing something creatively, you know, at least until I'm able to, you know.
So what's the plan for Magrito in the next couple of years and Wiretap?
Yeah, no, I think we spoke about it I think Oscar and I spoke about it in our first interview with you guys. I would love for Maguito to kind of continue to do more in the podcast space, you know, obviously bringing you guys on, of course. And I think you guys are doing great. You know, I think the podcast element of what we do is going to continue to grow. Obviously bringing in, you know, brands and sponsors and partnerships like that is going to continue to grow. The podcast space is just going to continue to grow overall in the format. You know, I know a lot of us have listened to podcasts for a long time, right? You and I and everybody have all listened to podcasts for years and years, right? Maybe even 10 years or however long it is. I think even like, I was trying to think back, actually going back in my Spotify listening and seeing what the first podcast I listened to, subscribed to, like, you know, I tried to do, I don't know when it was, I was trying to go back and see what I subscribed to, right? And I think I remember like, this must have been like 2009, maybe I want to say 2010. And I started subscribing to Kevin Smith's podcast. And he was one of the first people to do a podcast, you know, or like, not to do it, but like one that was like, you know, it was Joe Rogan, of course. It was like,
yeah, I think they started around the same time.
So around that time, you know, and that's been what?
2009.
Yeah. So whatever that is, you know, 7 years or whatever, or how I'm bad with math.
It's more than 7 years, I think.
Yeah, but it's still growing. You know, it's like, and especially like I said in the last interview, like especially in the Latino space, like I think that's going to continue to grow. Like 5 years ago, I didn't have any friends, like, or my cousins or whoever that or Latinos that listen to podcasts. Now, every one of my cousins, everyone listens to podcasts now because it's going to continue to grow. You know, so for Maguito, I think that's an exciting space for us to be in because like we're going to continue to welcome more podcasts like you guys. You know, on the music side of things, like we're going to continue to, you know, work with bands that we feel represent the label and just like the Maguito sound, you know, and we keep saying that there is no Maguito sound. It's just kind of like what we feel and what we think represents, you know, our musical culture, I guess, you know, but yeah, you know, Wiretap, you know, again, next year is 10 years, you know, of having the label exist, I guess. Right. So, I don't know, you know, I really don't know what the next 5 years is going to be like. It's one of those things where it's hard to be like, to say that like, oh, I want to do this, want to do that. Like, especially with running a label with the music side, like you really don't know what the next month is going to, like, I might get approached by a band that I absolutely fall in love with that is going to knock me off my, and I'm going to love, and they could be the next big thing or whatever. So you really never know until, I'm going to continue doing and discovering bands and finding bands wherever I can.
And how do you discover them? Like, what do you have a formula to discovering the band? There's
no formula, man. I wish I had it. Yeah. You just kind of have to keep, paying attention, like when I first started Wiretap, like admitted again, I keep going back to like, I was out of touch. Like I wasn't reading websites. I was out of touch with independent music. So you had to do your homework, and
how did you do your homework?
You read websites, at the time there was still print magazines, like there's few and few more less now, but you read interviews, you go to shows, you participate. I'm still very big on like, and even in my Gito, like with both labels, like I'm very, I subscribe to the motto of if you support the scene will support you, so you have to be part of that scene, so early on with both labels, like we have to put your work in and show a face and like, you have to be part of the community, so yeah, you kind of have to stay on. If you're going to stay up to date and current on what bands are hot or, what the scene's kind of turning into, whatever, like you got to go to shows, you got to be in it, and it gets harder and harder as we get older, as the bands and musicians stay younger, because that's just the nature of what we do. But you gotta, piece out a few nights a week to maybe go out, or once a week to go out and actually stay current,
Right. And then I think we touched a little bit on it, the last interview about Wiretap growing and My Grito growing. It's hard to go to all these shows, right?
Yeah, no, it's really hard, especially with Wiretap, like, I work with bands all over the country and the world. I work with bands out of the UK.
Really?
I work with about 6 bands out of the UK.
Whoa.
Yeah. So 6 bands out of the UK, a band out of Australia, a band out of Italy, just, all over the world, So, obviously, and then I work with a fair amount of bands that are local here. So all those local bands have shows, like, if not every weekend, like somebody's playing locally, there's no way I'm going to go to every one of these events, so, and I think the bands know that like, they all know that I'm not, available to go to every show, like I'll pop in every now and then if I'm available, sure, but there's no way that one person can be at every one of these shows.
Yeah.
And I don't think they expect me to be there either, so, I think there's a good balance in terms of like, they know that even though I'm not a show, or Oscar's not a show at every weekend, they know that we're supporting in other ways, whether that's, sending emails to help them get on a local show, or helping, get a premiere for a video or whatever. It's like, we're still pulling our weight and helping whatever ways we can, even if we're not standing in the back of a room, at their show,
Dude, what is your day like? I just think about all these projects and all these things that you and Oscar are doing, and I'm just like, what are how do these guys do it? Like, even Amber asked this like 10 minutes ago, but it just blows my mind, all these nuances, all these things that you guys do, and it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, because
you're creating something from a ground up, and it's not just My Grito. You've grown Wiretap from the ground up. It's taken 10 years to do this, and just it's a lot. Did you run into any like situations where you're like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should. Did you run into any like times where you're like, maybe I'm done. Maybe I shouldn't continue this. Oh, Has that happened?
Every other year, sure. Yeah.
Every other year?
It's something that kind of comes and goes, and then, you think about it, you're like, or you get distracted, you're like, all right, I'm going to do this, whatever, and then it passes, like, I'll admit that, like, yeah, like, early on, I don't know what the hell I was doing, like, to a degree, I still don't know what the hell I'm doing, like, just like parenting, you're winging it, like, you can read all the parenting books you want, like, but you're still going to wing it, basically, like, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Running a label and another business, like being a business owner in general, you're winging it half the time. You can have a plan for it, but things change every single day, right? So, but yeah, every so often I got that, especially when like you know, like we press vinyl, you know, and for the most part, you know, like every release that we've done has done a well where I can recoup my money, of course, and like put a little bit away for the next one and whatnot, right? So, and make a little bit of money to keep this thing going, keep the lights on. But there'll be times where you're like, you know, you put a record up for sale and you get like 4 pre-orders and you're like, fuck, like that's a loss, you know, like not everything's a giant hit, you know? So, and then when the ones that are, you're thankful that you're like, oh, cool, that did well. I can continue doing this. But there'll be times where you're like, it's a bad few months or a bad year, whatever that year. And you're like, yeah, I think I'm done, you know? And then you think about it and you know, you think about the stuff that you've done, that you've helped the bands, whatever, like in these 9 years that I've been doing this label, I've helped bands get on, you know, on radio, like on K-ROQ, on KLOS. I've helped bands get on like, you know, BBC Radio 1, Triple J in Australia. Like I've helped bands get placed on like commercials and things like that in general. I've helped bands like get on like Warped Tour and like Riot Fest and like, you know, do all these cool things, like get Spotify playlisting. Like these are things that like I'm proud of, you know, like that so things like that help me kind of stick around and be like, you know what, this is why I want to do it, why I got to continue doing it, you know? So, but yeah, you're exactly right. I think I've had those type of moments plenty of times, you know, throughout the 9 years that I've been doing this.
Do you feel like those moments come right before like a big win?
They do. They actually do. It's funny you say that because like sometimes when I feel like that, I know that big win's coming because it's happened the exact same way in the past. You know, like I'll admit right now, like next year, 10 years is coming up next year. And there's a part of me, it's like, that'd be a nice number to kind of like, just like end it, you know? And I don't want to, you know, but I definitely want to be like, they keep saying like, I'm super busy, man. Like there's a part of me that's like, that'd be nice to have a little bit of a break, you know? Obviously I'm gonna continue doing my guito, but it's like, I'd love that extra time back, you know? But am I going to do that? I don't know. I probably won't, you know, I'm going to continue doing it. But the idea of 10 years and kind of stopping or taking it back is appealing. But like you're saying, go back to the point, like I've had that moment before and I just keep passing that number and like just keep trucking on, you know? So it could be standing here in 10 years and having it be the 20-year anniversary, you know? So who knows?
Is Wiretap and everything that you do, is it a family affair? Is your family involved? Is your wife involved? Or is that something that they kind of give you to do for yourself?
Initially, I think when I started it, yeah, it's definitely something that my wife helped out with. And even to a degree now, you know, my kids still help me like every now and then if they're available and help me with like package orders. Cause I still package everything out of my house, you know? So yeah, my kids will help me and they'll drag their feet. Like, oh, I don't want to help dad, you know? Cause like some of these orders, like, you know, we'll have, you know, I do this thing called Record Club where basically everyone, pays up front a one-time fee and they get everything that we press for the year, you know, throughout the year on vinyl.
Oh,
you know,
cool.
So yeah, you know, there's times where we got to package like 200 orders, you know, and that takes hours and hours doing it one person at a time, you know. So yeah, there's actually only 9 spots left for the year. So if people want to go to
oh, is it this one?
Oh, it's limited too.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So there's 9 spots left. It's basically everything's 8 releases, 1 7-inch t-shirt, snapback hat, and an iron-on patch.
Oh shoot, that's cool.
So, yeah. So again, like I said, like there's times where I need help, and my wife, of course, will chip in and help out, and my kids will come in, you know, help out, stuff stickers in, and you know, things like that. So yeah, it's definitely a family affair. But you know, but it's like in my wife and my kids like helping with like, you know, like find bands and whatnot. No, because they're too young, and you know, my wife's, that's not my wife's thing. So that's where it comes out to basically just me being, you know, kind of doing that on my own, you know. But yeah, no, maybe one day one of my kids will inherit and take over Wiretap, you know.
I was gonna say right now they're complaining, but later they'll fall into it.
How fulfilling is it for you? Like, it must, hearing your story and just like your overall experience with music and falling into this or being dragged into this, like how fulfilling is it to you like at the end of the day?
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's really fulfilling, you know, like this helps having this talk with you, you know, like that shows that like when I think back sometimes I'm like, dude, actually I've done some cool shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like, sometimes you're going so fast that you don't take a step back and actually realize, oh shit, I actually did this. You know, like
you need those moments.
You need those moments, man. You know, you definitely need those moments, and it does help out. Like what we're doing today is helping me realize, like, dude, I've done some important things and I've helped people out. You know,
and those moments to where you're like, you know what, I should stop. I should quit, or I should take a moment and step back. It's usually that, and the reason why I brought that up is because that happens to me on like all the time. Yeah. All the time. I'm just like, I think I'm done. I think I'm good. 100 episodes, I'm cool. Yeah. 150 episodes, it's fine. Like there was a time even before me and the Mindbuzz and My Grito started working together. There's a moment there. I say it, and I jokingly say that, Amber, like, I think I'm gonna quit. I think I'm done. Right?
Almost every day. No, not every day anymore. But
not anymore.
No, not anymore.
Not that we got a sponsor, Feed 'em at Mezcal.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, where are they? There they are.
There you go.
No, but it
took away the mouth.
Yeah.
I think, and it doesn't look red. There you go. I think what we do to ourselves, and I think it's just a human thing, is we put a timestamp on everything, right? Like today you were just saying about that girl in the morning where he was saying like, I think I'm too old to break into certain things, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm too old for this. And we were listening to the Joey Diaz,
Tremendous by Joey Diaz.
His autobiography. And he broke into like acting and everything like
later,
really like late in on the game. And look at him now, you know? And I think that we put a timestamp on our life or where we think that we should, because we put these expectations like, okay, by 30, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to own a house and this and that. And then you get there and you're like, fuck, I'm not even close to that. And then it's like, it's almost like not encouraging anymore, right? But it, like for the podcast, what I tell Gil is like, we're look at where we're at. Like, you know, it's going to be 3 years and look at what we've done so far. Look at all the people that we've met. What do another 3 years look like? You know, we can only get better, or we hope we only get better. But it's true. It's like for you, Wiretap, look at what you've done in 10 years. What does another 10 years look like? You know, it could only get better, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, and I'm hopeful too. And I you know, again, I keep saying like these type of moments are exactly what we all need. You know, like. Yeah. You know, you said like yourself last time, but like us approaching you and welcoming you to the roster for the My Grito podcast network is that turning point for you? Maybe you may have been feeling like, is anybody going to care if I stop doing this? Mm-hmm. You know, because I've had the same type of thought. When I was working at K-ROQ and at KLOS, one of my coworkers, I would tell her literally, my friend Jasmine, I would tell her every day, yeah, I think I'm done. You know. And then she'd be like, okay, here goes this guy again. Because like, I would literally say like every
He's one months, of those, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And she would never take me seriously because like the next day I would be like, oh, I found this cool band. I'm going to sign them, you know, because like she knew like I was just venting basically, just like we all need that, you know? And, but you're right. You know, like, yeah, we all have those moments where we have a second, you know, like we second guess ourselves like, why we're doing it. And if anybody really cares that we're even doing this, you know?
And the FOMO sets in too. Think about it. Like, imagine like you quit and then there's another band out there like the Rolling Stones or the Beatles and you may have missed out on that because you've hung up the hat or whatever.
Yeah. No, I think I am getting kind of my second wind in terms of you know, I'm kind of even just thinking about like, you know, unlike My Grito, that doesn't have a sound. Wiretap has had a little bit of a sound, you know, like, and I always say like, you don't really get to pick your audience, you know, like you can put certain types of music that sound similar, but you can't pick who's going to support and like be into those bands. Right. So for, you know, years and years early on, like the sound that Wiretap kind of was in people that were embracing it was like skate punk, you know, think like NoFX type stuff and like, you know, like pop punk type stuff. Right. And over the last few years, like I think maybe like, just the time that My Grito was born and you know, even the whole thing with like George Floyd and just being more aware of like being more diverse in our roster. I think every company kind of took a step back, like we should probably be a little bit more diverse. Right. I did the same thing, you know, as a person of color myself, I was like, why is my roster not as diverse as it should be? You know? So I did start working with more bands that were a little bit more diverse, but also more diverse in sound too, you know? So the last few years, actually even the last year, like I've kind of leaned into that a little bit more, where Wiretap's not so much like a punk label. It's a general record label that's not just like known as a punk label now, you know? So, so I'm excited about the new bands that are coming out right now. Like there's a local band here. They're actually out of the Antelope Valley. But it's a band called Bed that's kind of shoegazy, kind of like rock alternative kind of stuff. But I think they're onto something kind of cool right now. There's a band called Grey Secrets that I'm really excited about right now. That's kind of like a, you know, they're a punk band, but they're a little bit more on like the 90s grunge kind of vibe, you know? So yeah, so a lot of these bands like are kind of redefining, I think, the next generation of what Wiretap's going to be, you know? So I think that's important, you know, it's like to kind of get yourself excited. Because if I'm not excited about something, like going back to the fact, like, why am I doing it if I'm not excited about it, you know? So I need those little moments that are getting me excited about the next generation of what I'm doing with it.
Are those bands on the Spotify playlist?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
we were listening to the Spotify playlist earlier today when
Punk Radar?
Amber and I were working on Spotify.
Yeah. I curate a playlist on Spotify called Punk Radar.
That's what it's called. Yeah. You want to pull it up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put the link down in the show description so you guys could check it out. But I want to check it. It's right there on Wiretap Records. Punk Radar.
If you go to the Instagram, there's a link on it. There you go. Yeah.
There we go. Is it going to show?
It's obviously I it's a way for me to give the bands that I work with exposure, you know, but I mean, like, you know, obviously there's bigger artists like Rancid and whatnot. And
it took you to the app. Yeah, right there. Just show it real quick. And then, yeah, there it is.
It's called #Punk Radar. Been doing it for a few years now.
That's super cool, dude.
You know, and again, it was like getting back to the point of like, obviously every artist, and we were lucky that, you know, like we've had a fair amount of bands that get placed on official Spotify playlists. You know, that's what every band aspires to get on, because it does help with like streaming and whatnot. And it's like, why are we shooting for getting our bands on Spotify's playlist when we should just create our own? You know, so I've created my own, and it's been growing over the past few years. It's, you know, it's almost like 908 likes now, which is, you know, it helps out, you know. So if anyone wants to keep up to date with the latest in punk and hardcore and, you know, emo / pop punk type stuff, then follow #Punk Radar and get your daily weekly dose of new music.
Love it, dude. Rob, thanks for coming out and doing the Mindbuzz. Appreciate it, dude.
As always, man, it's always fun, you know, hanging out with you guys. So thank you.
What do you got coming up? Where can we find you?
Wiretap, of course, you know, everything on Instagram, Facebook, everything is at Wiretap Records. You can follow that playlist I mentioned called Punk Radar. My Grito, of course, you know, we gave all the mentions last week, and the week before that is everything's at My Grito on socials, mygrito.net. You know, if you want to find me on LinkedIn, I'm always open to collaborating and kind of like getting creative with anyone else that's want to collaborate on stuff, you know.
I feel like I need to open a LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like the adult, right?
It's the adult,
you're an adult once you have a
Is
LinkedIn.
that the adult Instagram?
Kind of, yeah.
No, am I wrong?
It's like the professional.
Industry,
Can we get one started for the Mindbuzz?
You can actually their businesses on LinkedIn too.
Okay.
So it's another platform, you know, but
so where can bands find you? What's the proper way for them to connect with you for Wiretap or My Grito?
Yeah, you can approach either of us on social, and you know, like the best way to kind of just get on our radar for both Wiretap or My Grito is just approach us, tell them, you know, put yourself on our radar, and then if we dig it, and if you're onto something that's cool, then we'll notice it, you know. But we're easily accessible. You can email us on both websites, wiretaprecords.com or mygrito.net. All our info is there, and you know, reach out to us. We're always listening.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. And all these go back to the vinyl. The vinyls have all these. Look at the colors, dude.
Vinyl, yeah.
Ooh,
I think I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna sign up for. Do I get? Look at all the bursts. That's so fucking cool.
Yeah. A lot of those are sold out. That's why they say unavailable. So those
there we go.
All these are.
Yeah. So the few that are not sold out are probably from like last year or whatnot. So, but yeah, obviously.
There you go.
The Mindbuzz Podcast.
Peace and love. VitaMamescal.com. Go check it out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Mindbuzz podcast. Subscribe to the Mindbuzz YouTube channel and watch full podcast episodes. Keep up with the hosts, guests, and upcoming events by following the Mindbuzz on Instagram @the Mindbuzz. See you on the next one.